Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, 12 o'clock. Day 3.
Okay, I'll call him now. Thank you. Yeah, I don't think they have one for the never been in a sign, so
I did it. A shotgun, and then they pulled out an M4 and shot him in the face while he was like not passing me. So we had a pretty big protest about that. It was crazy. Yeah, no, we're our meetings are pretty large. Fox News out there.
For some reason, these guys just got pulled the gun on the house. Yeah, I'm a vet too, so I'm here.
Hail Mary, full of grace.
She went to get a clipboard.
How you doing? Hey, buddy.
Thanks for joining us. We'll probably do another round.
Hail Mary, full of grace. The Lord is with you. Josh just called me. He's like, where are you?
You should come to the presence of heating high temperatures to melt steel. No jet plane fuel fire can create that kind of temperature. No, it can burn for days. It won't burn like that. I wish they did.
How much are they?
No,
I'm just thinking. Huh?
Everybody get them. Here, put your shirt on.
I'll think about it, man. Let me think about it. I do want one, though.
I've never searched so avidly for a socialist newspaper.
I know.
Yeah.
prediction, that is, prosecution before any crimes have been committed. The government's prediction of who might commit crimes in the future is deeply flawed and results in innocent Muslims being framed and convicted. In these U.S. government preemptive prosecutions, the government relies on guilt by association, the use of agent provocateurs, illegal entrapment to turn innocent, and even charitable activities into criminal offenses. The government has constructed special, restrictive Muslim prisons that harshly confines prisoners only because they are Muslim. We are Americans. We know what injustice looks like. We held people in slavery because of their race. We forced people of Japanese ancestry into concentration camps because of their ethnicity. We persecuted people under McCarthy because of their political beliefs. We, Americans, have a special responsibility to see that these abuses never happen again. We have no right to persecute people based solely on their religion. We have no reason to be at war with Islam. In America, if Muslims are not safe, no one is safe. I represent Project Salam. Please join us to stop this war against Muslims.
All your beautiful faces out here today. I want to thank Answer for letting SDS come and speak and give our spiel about what's going on in the student movement right now. Students for Democratic Society is an organization that goes back to the 60s, a great integral part of the student movement, working on civil rights, affirmative action, as well as an integral part in ending the war in Vietnam. And so we're back again. The same power that has led the war in Vietnam and against the working class popular movements has not left. They're still in power today. And in January of 2006, high school and university students reorganized SDS as there continued to be a great need for a powerful and united student movement. Not only around the issues of the imperialist wars, but the attacks that those powerfully rich continue to bring on people of this country as well. These attacks that afford the rich and powerful the luxuries that they desire. They send our youth to fight and die in these illegal and unjust wars against people of other nations, when we belong in universities and we belong in our communities, making positive change for ourselves and each other. We demand our youth be educated and allowed to flourish in our collective ideas and talents, not dead in Iraq and Afghanistan. Now, powerful policymakers do not stop at military recruitment, as their only attack on students, youth, and other underprivileged people. They attempt to place the burden of their economic crisis onto all of our backs, and they attack our future by ignoring and playing down serious problems it has caused us today. Instead of education being recognized as a right that all of us in society should benefit from, tuition to both public and private universities is the fastest increasing commodity, skyrocketing by the thousands of dollars so that millions of students are struggling or simply cannot afford education. Meanwhile, banks are reaping millions off of student loans every year, while the state loses tens of millions of dollars to tuition. Yet politicians have billions of dollars to spend in Iraq and Afghanistan every other day. These contradictions need to end. They cannot carry out further attacks on the people here in this country and of people of other nations abroad. SDS has been a key leader in the national movement of students taking radical actions to take over their universities. And we are demanding an end to the business people reaping on our lives. And when we say education is a right, we mean education must be free. When students rise together and demand fund education, not occupation, we mean an end to military research and corporate investments on campuses. We mean an immediate end to the unjust imperialist wars of the U.S. We're asking that students organize on campus, join SDS nationally and the anti-war movement nationally. We're 150 chapters strong, and working here together is what's going to defeat these people and their unjust wars. I want to say one more thing. The reason we're here together is 7 years of the commemoration of the suffering and the slaughter under the filthy hands of foreign occupation and domination. So here's to the struggle of the people of Iraq.
Thank you.
The world to slaughter other foreign working people around the world. We are here to say to President Obama across the street here that we will not fight for his wars anymore. That these wars are illegal and immoral, and we will end them because a mass movement of the people in the streets will end them. When we refuse to fight, we will end these wars. Thank you.
We have to stand with our soldiers and veterans to help end this war right now. Next, I want to bring up Kay Kim from Bunghar, Washington, and Koreans for Peace.
Slide by, buddy. Can I slide by?
Oh, you mean the annoying
Greetings, my friends and colleagues. About a year ago, in the wake of the death of former South Korean President Roh Moo-hyun, we Koreans and Korean Americans have gathered together to form a grassroots organization to remember and help carry on his legacy in bringing true democracy and peace to the ordinary people. We have gathered in one thing in our mind: the preservation of genuine principle, justice, peace, and common sense, especially in regard to understanding of what's really being perpetrated towards North Korea, Palestine, Iran, Iraq, and rest of the world. And less than a year later, today we have gathered here with all of you to show what we can do. We are here to pledge our sincere support to our common cause in pursuing a peaceful world based on true democracy, and to display to others the importance of people and community-level grassroots actions in achieving it. The true democracy, not the one with the false rhetoric. Over half a century ago, the Korean War had stopped with an agreement of ceasefire, not the peace treaty that would have officially ended the war. And as a consequence, today, the two Koreas still aim guns at each other as enemies, with the continued presence of nearly 30,000 US troops on the Korean soil for over half a century. And Korea remains the only divided nation in the entire world. We, Bunghar, Washington, Koreans for Peace, demand the United States to work towards letting us, the peoples of Korea, to put real end to the Korean War by signing a legitimate peace treaty to end the Korean War, and realign the current peace security efforts toward obtaining peaceful reunification of Korea by respecting the two landmark joint declarations signed by leaders of South and North Korea back in 2001 and 2007. Regardless of the physical and psychological borders that have been forced upon us, Koreans as one people demand only one thing: peaceful reunification now, without foreign interventions. But more importantly, today, we have gathered here together in opposition to the US-led wars being waged in Afghanistan and Iraq, and in recognition of the struggle of the Palestinian people and the brutal and unlawful actions perpetrated by the governments of Israel and US. Today, we set aside our differences in race, culture, language, nationalities, in pursuit of our common goal of reinstating the rights of the Palestinian people, the right to pursue their own dreams on their own soil. The governments of Israel and the United States must end supporting violence and illegal expansion policies inside the land of Palestine and start respecting all rights of Palestinians, their state, and their right to live in the land of their own. And also to stop the campaign of violent interventions throughout the rest of the Middle East, including Iraq and Afghanistan. Almost 2 years ago, President Obama promised us to end these wars immediately. 2 years later, today, this march is still being held. Why?
He's a liar!
It's been an honor. Thank you.
Next, I want to bring up to speak to you Aisha Fleary from the Black is Back Coalition. And before I say that, if you have a coffin in the park here, you cannot lay it on the ground, we've been told. I'm sorry about that.
Ooh. It's got to have a body in it.
Good afternoon. My name is Aisha Fleary, and I'm here to represent the Black is Back Coalition for Social Justice, Peace, and Reparations. We are thankful to have a space today to speak about the U.S.'s ever-broadening assault against oppressed peoples of the world. We stand in solidarity with anyone who is fighting to retain control of their lands, resources, and dignity. We are against this imperialist-driven war which seeks to monopolize the world's resources at the cost of the lives of innocent men, women, and children. They say they are doing this for us, when in reality most citizens of this country don't even know what these wars are for. The U.S. is threatening Iran because it says it's a threat to the Middle East. The U.S. has invaded and devastated Iraq because of some imagined weapons of mass destruction. They side with Israel when they occupy the lands of the Palestinian people illegally. They militarize Haiti and undermine their government cloaked in a robe of humanitarianism. They've launched AFRICOM as a means to control the people and steal more resources from Africa. This is the government that says it's working in our interest. But Black is Back Coalition is here to say that it's not in our interest. Terror is terror, and this government is carrying out a terroristic agenda around the world, and because our president has a brown face, we are supposed to look away. In our neighborhoods, we continue to lose our homes and unemployment is not improving. Many Black communities are in a state of perpetual police repression, but this is just a continuation of a history of terror. This country was built on the blood of millions of people and continues to oppress these very same people. How can we expect a country that has historically gained what it has by illegal means to automatically stop? It has committed crime after crime against the world, starting with heinous murders of millions of indigenous people right here on this land. Their blood was spilled to make way for government agendas. As the indigenous folks fought and died, millions were being imported from Africa and being kept as beasts of burdens to build the cities of this economy and this country. Now our indigenous brothers and sisters are relegated to modern-day concentration camps called reservations. As capitalists continue to encroach on their lands, and independent wealth for Blacks is still being repressed, as publicly evidenced through the USDA's treatment of Black farmers. Now we must call an end to it all and watch with gleeful eyes as the empire crumbles to our feet. Because we understand that if we want this government to succeed, we're wanting a continuation of bloodshed and turmoil being carried out on our behalf, and I'm not comfortable with that. Are you? Is this the change that we're all waiting for? This is the game, and this country must continue to revolt, not just to let this government know that we're unhappy, because they already know we're unhappy, but to let the rest of the world know that the citizens of this country do not condone what the U.S. is doing. We stand in solidarity with oppressed people fighting for peace, the return of all resources, and a rightful revolution. Uhuru and thank you.
Sisters and brothers, my name is Brian Becker. I'm the National Coordinator of the Answer Coalition. I want to thank you all for coming. There are going to be thousands more joining us between now and 1:30. We're going to be joined by Cynthia McKinney, Cindy Sheehan, Ralph Nader, Ramsey Clark, Iraq War veterans, people from all walks of life coming together. Many of you know that before this demonstration took place, the Answer Coalition received nearly $10,000 in fines in the last 2 weeks for the crime of putting up an anti-war poster. In Los Angeles, 2 of our organizers were arrested on felony charges for putting up an anti-war poster. They faced trial. They were given $20,000 bail each for having put up an anti-war poster. The same thing happened in San Francisco. We had to post $50,000 in bail so that 2 people could get out of jail for the crime of allegedly putting up an anti-war poster. Now let me ask you, why is it that grassroots organizing, the traditional methods, putting up posters, handing out leaflets, have become a crime? It's because the government fears the people. They know that we can organize. They know we can take this message into our communities, our campuses, into our workplaces, and yes, right into the rank and file of the U.S. military and say we won't fight for imperialist wars. So we're going to stay strong, sisters and brothers. We're going to be disciplined today. We're going to march on Halliburton. We're going to march on the Mortgage Bankers Association. We're going to march on the Washington Post, a propaganda arm for the Pentagon. And then we're And each and every place we go, we're going to be delivering flag-draped coffins. And we're going to show the human cost of this war. We're not going to just have an American flag. We're going to have Iraqi flags, and Afghan flags, and Palestinian flags, Yemeni flags, Somali flags. This is one human family rising together against imperialism. Thank you.
And we're going to march because we won't be deterred and we won't be denied. And next I want to bring up someone who fights against our voices being silenced. I want to bring up Mickey Huff from Project Censored.
Hi everybody. Thank you so much for coming out for the real March Madness. We're here from California, we're Project Censored, and we address one of the biggest problems going on in our country. It's the fact that people can't get factual information to understand how much is going on, and it's going on so wrong, though I don't need to tell that to everybody that's here today. It is March Madness. This is March Madness that started 7 years ago in this recent incarnation of an illegal occupation, an illegal invasion, and the destruction and further decimation and racist decimation of the country of Iraq and the people of Iraq, as well as Afghanistan and other parts of the world. And at Project Censored, one of the things that we've covered over the years, these undercovered stories, and this story is still out there, and yet people don't want to talk about it. In fact, the corporate media in this country don't even want to talk about what happens to veterans and soldiers that are Americans. Also, we don't want to talk about the cost of occupation, and I don't just mean the economic cost where the money going into bombs and missiles and death and destruction takes money away from healthcare and from education. I'm talking about the death of over 1 million Iraqis. That's one of the most censored stories around this war that we don't get to hear about. The death of over 1 million people. The opinion research business over in England did a scientific survey and study of this. This is a matter of fact. The Associated Press in this country a year ago, this coming month in April, published stories claiming that 87,000 Iraqis had died, and they ran it 3 times, knowing that it's completely false. The Iraqis need us to help stand up. We need to stand up against this illegal occupation, and we need to fight for freedom of the press and free speech. Thank you.